Hello, I'm here today with Lisa Johnson, Global Practice Leader, Consulting Services at Crown World Mobility. She joins us from the US and is currently based in Brooklyn, New York. And also with me today, we're fortunate to have Louise Worbey, Global Mobility Lead at KPMG International, who's based in London. So lovely to have you here today, Lisa and Louise. So we're going to start by a few remarks from Lisa, who has a strong background in talent and return on investment and DIY mobility strategies. She's well known on the global mobility circuit as well. And also, Lisa, I'm right, I think, in saying that you were born in Japan and you've lived and worked in Europe and Latin America. So you've also lived and breathed the whole international assignment experience. So today you're going to share your experience of planning group moves, and you can also read, audience here today, her article on the same topic, which is on the Relocate Global website. So Lisa, lovely to have you here.
Thank you.
Yes, great. So what circumstances are likely to lead to a group move in the current climate and challenging COVID situation?
Well, it's great to be here, and thank you so much, Fiona, and always lovely to see Louise as well. It's interesting because originally we published an article on some great considerations for planning a group move back in 2016 when the Brexit referendum had gone through. We were thinking, you know what, this is a time of change and uncertainty. Little did we know that, one, that was going to go on now till we're still dealing with pre-Brexit here, but also, then, for the past 9-10 months that we've been in this global pandemic. And so we thought this was a really timely moment to look at that article again, but consider it in the time of this global pandemic. What are some additional considerations? Because certainly, economic downturns are often one of the reasons why group moves take place. Also, consolidations of work locations and workforce, which can happen in any year, right? But right now we're seeing quite a bit of change in the real estate market as well, and so new leases and renegotiations of spaces, and then clearly with the remote work from home, work from anywhere reality that we're in, where so many companies are now saying it will be at least a year, we will never fully go back to everyone back in the office, then even the size of locations that originally companies were spending a lot of money on, it no longer have the same requirements. And so we're seeing an uptake amongst our own clients for looking even short distance group moves, of just moving from one location to another, as well as just looking at where certain markets are no longer the priority.
So what are the top pitfalls then, do you think, when you're planning a group move?
I think one of the biggest pitfalls is to think that it's business as usual, that you already have a policy, we've moved people before, and so we just need to tap into the regular resources that we always use. And then there's often the need to people take shortcuts. They think it can't be that complicated. We're explaining it really, well. So I think it's just that assumption that it's just like a move with one person or with two people. And so not considering what additional assistance might be needed or what the objectives are of that move, especially in terms of retention and attrition numbers. That's such a big part of a successful group move, is knowing what are your goals with how many people you need to move, right? When someone is offered an international assignment, often it's a career opportunity. So there's some excitement there, even if you're nervous or you're anxious about it, or there's stress, which we know exists in any move. When it's a group move, a lot of times it's, will you move, or it's not that you have a choice. You're either going to move or your job may be eliminated, right? And so it's a very different moment emotionally for a a family than having this wonderful opportunity to go and have a couple of years in another location. It's a different, there is a different mindset and a different scenario.
Mm. I'm sure you've had sort of hundreds of group moves in your day and all over the world, but perhaps you can give us a sort of case study that perhaps illustrates what a successful group move looks like.
One that I really have appreciated over the years is a group move that involved a financial services organization that had decided that they were going to bring together a lot of their back office functions that were typically in large cities in different parts of the world. So Hong Kong, London, New York. And they wanted to move it into a lower cost location, but also a less expensive location, and had chosen in this case to move to a less urban location in the South in the United States. And so you've got a lot of different issues going on there, but often when people have chosen to live in the city, have a certain, lifestyle, those are lifestyle choices that you make that are certain kinds of people. So to say suddenly that you're going to be moving them and with their families to a place that is more isolated, more rural, that has the white picket fence, but maybe less of the diversity or less of the nightlife or less of the different reasons that drive people to live in a city, that's a challenge. And so this company, I love what they did, because they kind of took a model that, marketing uses with new products, where they said, we know that we need to get some top leaders to go who will represent this move. Almost like if you're selling a product and you get a famous person, an athlete or an actor or actress to be on the cover of your, representing your product. They said, we got to start with that. So they found their most charismatic leaders who were really people that everyone liked to work with anyway. And they said, let's get them on board first. Let's get them into this location, signed on, and then they will become our recruiters. Who's going to come with me? They make it very attractive. And so that was one key issue. And there was one other piece that they did, which I think really led to the success of this move, which was before the announcement, they got all of the managers of people who would be impacted together in a room to brief them on what was going to happen, to educate them, even if they themselves weren't going to move, so that they would be knowledgeable, so that they would understand. We did a little bit of a change management workshop with them also, so they had some of those resources, but also so that they could understand that there would be a productivity dip once the announcement was made. Even if people were excited about it, suddenly they're calling all their friends and family, they're asking other people what's going to happen. So we prepared them so that they were really going to also be able to be a resource and have a consistent message with the impacted population. So they did all these pieces up front, which often, going back to your first question, Fiona, are the pieces that get left behind when people say, oh, it's just a move. We'll just let people know. We've got our policy. We've got, they really did that pre-work, which made a huge difference in getting the people to go that they wanted to go and to make it a success.
As you described, as the UK comes to the end of this transition period of there will probably be people thinking, right, well, we've got to commit. Which country in Europe might we also move to? So thank you for that. So in the final stages, what do you think, for organisations thinking about going to Europe, for example, from the US, maybe having a second base out of Europe, or the other way around, when people are concerned and maybe wanting to go back to the US or leave the UK for good?
We have a double whammy here a bit, right? Because we have Brexit and we also have COVID. And, so we have both of those coming together. And, people keep saying in our industry that you hear over and over again, that history will judge companies by the way they treated their employees during this very difficult time. And so I would say that is so true as well with any sort of group move, that the employee experience, duty of care, showing that you really are supporting employees during a very very challenging time is going to be one of the most critical factors in making a group move successful. So really that employee experience has to be the sort of umbrella over whatever else you're going to be doing. But you know, in this moment, we know that unemployment rates are very high. So the accompanying partner or spouse, where it often is a challenge to have the dual career will be even more so. So maybe adding on that support, also thinking about children, and every location where you go is going to be in a different moment of the COVID crisis. So do we need a Zoom room for schools or for work, right? That we need to add on to the size of a location. Do we need some ad hoc? And so really taking the time to say what will help during a situation that no one has control over right now to make people feel like we support them. I think that's really key.
Brilliant. Well, thank you. You encapsulated that very well and also brought in a lot of different areas. So what about you, Louise? What are the main points that you consider for your population?
Well, I'm finding myself in complete support of Lisa's comments, particularly around that hand-holding piece. It's very easy in a group move to just make it transactional, but it's that hand-holding and setting the tone at the top. So I think her example where they had, a workshop and they had managers involved as well from a leadership perspective is a wonderful idea. I think that's a great way to advance this and move it forwards. And as you say, around education, around new perspectives of what somebody needs when they're on assignment and tutoring, I think that they're fabulous initiatives that I'd like to get more involved and know more about.